Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurmitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamlam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijan Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deen Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Taptakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusutta Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhubhaiva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, thank you all for coming. So today we will continue our discussion on chapter 14. We will today populate the chart that I have sent to all of you. So you all should have the chart. If you don't have the chart, you can always draw its straightforward boxes to populate. I will let you know when and what to write on the chart. And till that time, you can take notes on a different page or whichever way you are taking notes virtually, electronically. Now, as we discuss this chapter 14 on modes, some of you will feel that I don't really understand this chapter. So not to worry. First, we will discuss the philosophy that is there in the verses. And then we will discuss practical aspects of how do you apply this chapter. And if something still doesn't get clarified, by all means, can ask the questions. So work with me. First, let's understand the philosophy and then the practical discussion will make sense. After first studying the philosophy, then the practical points will become easier to understand. Now, this chart that we're going to populate today, why this chart will be helpful is the verses, how they are laid out in chapter 14, is that one verse talks about goodness, then next verse talks about passion, then next talk about ignorance on a particular point. Then again, another verse starts from goodness, then next passion, then ignorance. So it kind of is scattered all over. And if I only want to look at goodness, then this chart will become helpful. So I've explained that as part of our Bhagavad Gita study, I'll be giving you 4 major charts besides the various smaller charts. The 4 major charts will show you where you are, where you want to go, and how to get to where you want to go. So this 4 charts, the first chart was the yoga ladder chart. The second chart is this chapter 14 chart. And the remaining 2 charts of chapter 17 and 18 will be an extension of this chapter 14 chart, where we will understand the modes at a granular level on a day-to-day basis. Somebody has joined with the name says thank you. Can you please unmute and identify yourself and change the name?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, it's Prabjot.
Okay, Hare Krishna Prabhu. You can change the name on the Zoom if you can.
Yeah, I didn't see anything there that gave me the option, so I just
Okay, I will change it. That's okay.
Hare Krishna. I can I can take care of it later, Prabhuji. So that's okay.
Okay, welcome. So Prabjot Prabhu, many from Toronto know him while doing services. And Prabjot Prabhu is also in the process of getting caught up on past recordings. So Prabjot Prabhu, feel free to ask any and all questions, even though you are joining partway through. And asking questions will solidify the understanding. So chapter 14, section 1 is verses 1 to 13. Title is How Soul is Conditioned by the Modes. So we have discussed the first 5 verses. First 2 verses are on glorification of knowledge. Verses 3 and 4 are how the soul contacts matter. And verses 5 to 9, how the modes bind the soul. So let's start reading from verse number 6 onwards. Deepa, are you able to read verse 6 translation?
No, Prabhuji, not today. Sorry.
All right. Malti, verse 6 translation.
Okay, Prabhuji. Am I audible, Prabhuji?
Yeah, a little louder, go ahead.
O sinless one, the mode of goodness, better than others, is illuminating, free, free from free one from all sin reaction. Those situated in that mode become conditioned by the sense of happiness and knowledge. Hare Krishna.
So we have to understand the modes by their characteristics. We are controlled by the modes 24 hours, 365 days, but we cannot see the modes. So it's very, very important to understand how do I see the modes. So we'll discuss practical aspects also. So first, Krishna describes that mode of goodness or Satatva Guna is illuminating and it frees from sin. Question becomes, how do you understand that mode of goodness frees one from sinful reaction? The answer is, when one chooses the mode of goodness, then the behavior is accordingly directed. So I gave the previous class example of a staircase, that one staircase from a 10-story tall building goes straight down in one straight line. Well, that is very risky. It's mode of passion. And then you have a very designer round and round staircase. And the better staircase is that you have few steps, then a landing, then you turn if you have few steps, then a landing. So even if somebody falls, it's you are only falling few steps. Meaning, when you choose a particular mode, the execution will be according to that mode. So when you choose mode of goodness, then the behavior is according to goodness will be good. So when one understands knowledge to a certain degree, hence one chooses actions that bring good consequences. Therefore, one does not act in sinful ways. And this way, one becomes free from sinful reactions on a go forward basis. So, the first two lines of the verse describe positive descriptions of the mode of goodness. And one may say that mode of goodness is very good, that it is purer than other modes, that it is illuminating, and it frees one from sinful reaction. So the bad side of mode of goodness is that one becomes bound by happiness and knowledge, which continues to keep one bound in the material world. Soul thinks, I am knowledgeable, I am clever, I am superior to others, which causes bondage. Because those in mode of goodness who are free from sins, therefore their suffering is also less while they are in the material world. Therefore, one gets the sense of happiness. And being situated in a very peaceful environment, and this actually causes bondage. So Srila Prabhupada would give the example that if one is bound by iron shackles or gold shackles, it does not matter. The fundamental reality is that both are bound. There is bondage, whether you are bound by iron shackles or gold shackles. So this is mode of goodness that Krishna has introduced. Questions, comments, realization so far? Follow me.
Prabhuji, just one question here. Can you give us some examples of people in mode of goodness and how long can one stay in this mode? Is it possible to stay in this long term?
So Krishna will explain in upcoming verse, should be verse number 10, that there is always competition among the modes. So it is not possible to stay in one mode. You may have a dominant mode, but it is not possible to continue to stay only in one mode. So you will keep fluctuating unless you become pure. Then you'll be very steady in the mode of goodness. In terms of example, you can think of Brahmana. Now, not the Brahmana in India. They are probably in the mode of ignorance. But some Brahmana you will see in the temples, even here in North America, that they are living in a life in the mode of goodness. Follow me?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you.
All right. Now verse number 7. Drashti, are you able to read verse number 7 translation?
Yes. The mode of passion is born of unlimited desires and longings. O son of Kunti, and because of this, the embodied living entity is bound to material fruitive actions.
So these are the characteristics of mode of passion. That passion is comprised of attachment, produced by hankering, that I want this, I want that, or hankering, I don't have this. So hankering for what I have and hankering for what I don't have. So attachment is both ways, to what one has and attachment to what one does not have. Meaning, I have a car, so I'm attached to a car, but at the same time, I want a better car because my neighbor has a better car, or my friend, or my family, or somebody has a better car, and I want that car also. Therefore, one is bound by fruitive activities. To protect what we have and to gain what we don't have, one has to work. Now, family life is the impetus to work hard in the material world. In terms of Vedic environment, meaning spiritual environment, the work is within dharmic framework, but passionate work is bound. One is bound. One is wanting more and more and more. Drashti, verse 7, read purport, please.
Yes. The mode of passion is characterized by the attraction between man and woman. Woman has attraction for man, and man has attraction for woman. This is called the mode of passion, and when the mode of passion is increased, one develops the hankering for material enjoyment. He wants to enjoy sense gratification. For sense gratification, and man in the mode of passion wants some honor in society or in the nation, and he wants to have a happy family with nice children, wife, and house. Those are the product of the mode of passion. As long as one is hankering after these things, he has to work very hard. Therefore, it is clearly stated that he becomes associated with the fruits of his activities and thus becomes bound by such activities. In order to please his wife, children, and society, and to keep up his prestige, one has to work. Therefore, the whole material world is more or less in the mode of passion. Modern civilization is considered to be advanced in the standard of mode of passion. Formerly, the advanced condition was considered to be in the mode of goodness. If there is no if there is no liberation for those in the mode of goodness, want to speak of those who are entangled in the mode of passion?
So Prabhupada says, Prabhupada says, modern civilization is advanced in mode of passion. Formerly, the civilization was in the mode of goodness. In goodness, definition of success will be how much knowledge one has. One is free from sinful action. In passion, the definition of success will be how much power one have. So look around anywhere in the material world. Leaders having illicit relations, general people don't mind. As long as economy is doing good or stock market is doing good, They don't care what the leader's character is, because people's definition of success is not in the mode of goodness. That the person who's sitting in leadership position should have good character. Whether or not you are following dharma, it does not matter, because materialistic people are in the mode of passion. If people were in goodness, the character of the head of the society or the leader would have been more important. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada says, earlier definition of success was different. And now the definition of success is different, because now people are largely in the mode of passion. Now, if devotees, they adopt the definition of success of people in general, who are materialistic people, then devotees cannot practice devotional service seriously, because there will be two different concepts colliding in the mind. So I'll repeat this statement. There's a very important statement for we all devotees, that if devotees adopt the definition of success of materialistic people, then devotees cannot practice devotional service seriously, because there will be different concepts colliding in the mind. But devotee does not consider more wealth or more power as the definition of success. Devotee considers how much he is attracted to Krishna, how much devotional service he is able to do. Questions, comments, realizations, starting with Shreyanshi.
Prabhuji, other way around, from the female side, uh, like if somebody doesn't want to be alone, like even in this path, they want to do it with their partner, how would that be looked upon? Because not everybody is meant to be alone or go into the sadhu part, which is very extreme. They want to do everything together with a partner.
Yeah,
So
so Prabhupada has described that for Vaishnavis, you should get married for sure. For Vaishnav, they can stay brahmachari, that's okay. But the way the world is designed, and the way the female body is designed, that female body is comparatively weaker than the male body and subject to a lot of exploitation. Therefore, Prabhupada has said that sannyasi, Vaishnavi should never take the sannyas path. Vaishnavi, the best ashram is Grahastha ashram, that serve your husband. And in Srimad Bhagavatam, there are a lot of examples given. For example, Devahuti, Parvati, then Archi, wife of Prithu Maharaj, that they simply served their husband. And because of the husband's elevation, husband executing devotional service, the wife also attained the results of the husband. So Bhagavatam clearly describes that husband should be elevated on the path of spirituality, and wife should be chaste to the husband, serve the husband, and that way wife also gets the benefit of husband's spiritual actions, even though wife may not study the scriptures. There's no stopping for wife to study the scriptures. I'm just giving the example that is there in Bhagavatam. Shreyanshi.
yeah, thank you, Prabhuji.
So those of you who are still not married should consider to have a devotee spouse. It becomes easier, because there is less scope of conflict. Like if one spouse is devotee and one spouse is materialistic person, well, there will always be a conflict because materialistic person would want to keep enjoying while the devotee would like to keep serving Krishna. So there's going to be conflict. So if it is possible, not saying now, those of you who are already married, well, you will have to work around your circumstances. If you are not married, then you can consider to have devotee spouse. Questions, comments, realizations? All right. Mansi, verse number 8.
Hare Krishna, text and translation. O son of Bharat, know that the mode of darkness, born of ignorance, is the delusion of all embodied living entities. The results of this mode are madness, indolence, and sleep, which binds the conditioned soul. Hare Krishna.
So ignorance is born out of ignorance. Ignorance deludes everyone. Ignorance binds with madness and sleep. So ignorance born out of ignorance, how do you understand this? The point is that this is a vicious cycle. First, there is basic level of ignorance, and one acts out of ignorance, further aggravating the mode of ignorance. Therefore, we complicate our life significantly. So understand with an example that the idea that drinking alcohol will free me from my troubles, this is born out of ignorance. And when one acts on this task of drinking alcohol, it results in one going into further ignorance that he becomes an addict, then he can't even leave drinking alcohol. So the first act out of ignorance to drink, yes, it is ignorance, but then it further, one goes deep into ignorance by drinking more and more, and he becomes addict, and this becomes a vicious cycle. And therefore, ignorance is born out of ignorance. Now, ignorance binds all living beings. For ignorance, Krishna says, ignorance deludes all living beings. But the previous two verses verse 6 on goodness and verse 7 on passion, Krishna did not say goodness and passion pervades all living beings. It's only for ignorance. Krishna has said that ignorance deludes all living beings. Why? Understand that first, the bodily concept of life is itself ignorance. And most living beings, if not all, are in bodily concept of life. So this itself is ignorance. And second, everyone has to sleep because of bodily concept of life. And when one sleeps, that is a characteristics of mode of ignorance. We'll soon populate all these on the chart. So pure devotees also sleep, but pure devotees may sleep by having Krishna in their minds all the time and dreaming about Krishna. So this becomes for Krishna's pleasure. So these pure devotees are exceptions. We cannot apply these on pure devotees because pure devotees are anyway above the modes, all three modes, not just ignorance. So there is necessary contact of mode of ignorance, meaning sleep, everyone requires. And then there is unnecessary aggravation of the mode of ignorance, just as some becomes addict to drinking alcohol or drugs or whatever be their situation and making it worse. Therefore, Krishna said that ignorance deludes all because everybody has to sleep. It is a basic necessity. So the key point is that mode of ignorance is born out of ignorance and it deludes all living beings. Questions, comments, realizations? Monak Prabhu, verse number 9 translation.
Hare Krishna, text 9 translation. O son of Bharat, the mode of goodness conditions one to happiness, passion conditions one to fruitive action, and ignorance covering one's knowledge binds one to madness. Hare Krishna.
So Krishna explains how these modes bind the person. So this is the title of this section of verses from 5 to 9, how the modes bind. So in goodness, one is bound by happiness. I know more than others. I live purer than others. I am happy living a sinless life. So goodness is good, that sinful is stopped. But still, one is missing the opportunity to transcend the material world. In passion, one is bound by fruitive activities, by karma. So person wants more and more and more. I want this, I want that. I want a new phone every 2 months. Therefore, he gets caught up in karma. In ignorance, one's knowledge is covered and one is bound by madness. So these are the primary characteristics of each of the modes. The whole point of the discussion so far is that all three modes bind. So now let's start populating the chart that you have on the screen. If you don't have the chart, by all means, you can make boxes. They are straightforward boxes. So a box will get populated on the screen, and I will speak for that box. So just as right now, the mode of goodness box is populated in yellow, and we will populate relevant points for each of these boxes. So for the leftmost box, mode of goodness. So basically you have five boxes or 5 columns. And the leftmost column is for the 3 modes: goodness, passion, ignorance. And the 4 columns you have A, B, C, D, I will tell you. And then you have 3 rows, one for goodness, one for passion, and one for ignorance. So goodness, you can write purer than other modes. Next box is the ignorance box, the leftmost ignorance box. You can write opposite of goodness. So I'll discuss examples for all of this. Now the first column that you have, the title is under A, is binding force. So the column, the intersection of goodness and binding force, you are writing. So write small so that you can populate in one box. You have few bullet points for each of the boxes. For the box, goodness and binding force is coming from verse number 6, sense of happiness, knowledge, satisfaction, superiority. So on top where you have written binding force, you can say verses 6 to 9. Next box is binding force under passion. Comes from verse number 7. Attached to fruitive activities. Binds by desire, attachment, and sense gratification. Now next column is binding force and ignorance. Comes from verse number 8. Madness, laziness, and sleep. So let's continue populating one after the other after we read, and then we'll come to discussing the chart. All right. Matan Prabhu, verse number 10 translation.
Hare Krishna. Oh, uh, sometimes the mode of goodness becomes prominent, defeating the mode of passion and ignorance. O son of Bharata, sometimes the mode of passion defeats goodness and ignorance, and at other times ignorance defeats goodness and passion. In this way, there is always competition for supremacy.
Right, so what Ptolemy was asking, it's right there in verse number 10. Krishna describes how there is competition within the modes, that the three modes pull a person at different times. His Grace Chitran Chandas has a lecture on the modes. The title of the lecture is Sometimes We Are Wise, Sometimes Otherwise. Why? Because the modes keep pulling us 24 hours in different directions. So the influence of the three modes is not static. If one is in goodness in the morning, does not mean that he will continue to stay in the mode of goodness throughout the entire day. No, it is not static. The activities and the influence of the modes is constantly changing. So, say while somebody is attending, say, a class of Bhagavatam class or Bhagavad Gita class at the temple, and he is in the mode of goodness because he is trying to understand the philosophy. But as the class goes on, other modes start pulling. That the devotee is thinking, oh, when will this class end? So that I can go and do other things. Meaning, this is the mode of passion talking. Or while the class is going on, the devotee wants to sleep, to catch up on the lost sleep. Well, this is the mode of ignorance talking. So, I am trying to hear a class, meaning I'm in the mode of goodness, but then the mode of passion starts pulling me, saying, let's go and do something active, or the mode of ignorance starts pulling that I want to sleep. So we can see that we are trying to do some activity, but the other modes are pulling us. Therefore, there is always a competition among the modes. Now, how do we overcome the pull of the other modes, say the pull of passion or any of the modes? So either you give in to the mode of passion or ignorance, or you fight against the mode of passion and ignorance. How do you fight is you situate yourself in the higher mode. So for example, if you are feeling sleepy while you are listening to a class of Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam, so that means mode of ignorance is trying to influence you. So you can consider to stand up instead of sitting, that you are drooling into comfortable positions. You can stand. So standing is that you are trying to be little active, and activity is the characteristics of mode of passion. So you defeat the lower mode by putting yourself in the higher mode. Similarly, if passion is pulling you, then you situate yourself in mode of goodness. That way you defeat the lower mode of passion. The point is to know and observe how the modes are competing in our own psychology and in our own pulling. So the person feels unsteady because these modes are acting at different times in different ways. So write down these very important characteristics of the three modes. This conversation will keep happening again and again. The characteristics of the three modes are: goodness is thinking first and then acting. Passion is acting without lot of thinking. And ignorance is neither thinking nor acting. Everybody got the characteristics?
Prabhuji, could you please repeat for passion?
I'll repeat all. So characteristics of the three modes are: goodness is thinking first and then acting. Passion is acting right away without too much thinking. Ignorance is neither thinking nor acting. Now, externally, the mode of goodness and mode of ignorance may look similar, but internally they are opposite. So example, one may be hearing a Bhagavatam class attentively. So he's sitting idle, seems like, and he's attentively listening, but he's not really doing any activity except listening. While the other devotee sitting besides, he may be calmly sleeping. So externally, both may be looking identical, that they are both sitting silently, but goodness and ignorance are opposite. May look similar, but they are opposite. That in goodness, one is trying to hear the class attentively. In ignorance, he is just sleeping. Now, generally, we think that these modes are stacked vertically one after the other, that ignorance is lowest, then next higher is passion, and the next higher is goodness. So that means that if I want to go to goodness, then I have to go from ignorance to passion to goodness. No, it doesn't work that way. They are not stacked in this vertical order. You can jump from goodness to ignorance and ignorance to goodness. An example is that I am trying to do my japa. I'm supposed to be in mode of goodness, and all of a sudden I am so bored of doing my japa that I doze off. Well, all of a sudden I am in ignorance. So I bypass passion. So it's not that I have to go in step-by-step process. I can jump anyway between the three modes. So the modes can move up and down very, very rapidly. One can jump from goodness directly to ignorance, just the example I gave you, by skipping passion altogether. So passion is the protection, or you defeat ignorance by placing yourself in passion. So passion is the protection against ignorance. That if I feel sleepy, then you may start walking, light walking. You don't have to be in extreme, high, passionate walking or running. Just light walking, just so as to defeat the mode of ignorance. So we have to overcome the lower modes by the higher modes. Now every step, 24 hours in our life, we will face a fork of 3 roads. Either choose goodness, passion, or ignorance. And at every step, we aim to choose the choice of goodness more and more. Therefore, this chart that we'll be populating in chapter 14 and chapter 17 and 18 will become handy. Because the fight of the modes, our feelings change rapidly, which we cannot understand. This is because of the modes that you will notice, at least from this point on, observe yourself. The whole point of this chapter 14 is that you observe yourself, that how the modes are influencing you, so that you can choose the mode of goodness more and more. So instead of being carried away by the lower modes, recognize the modes by their characteristics, whether it is goodness, passion, ignorance, and continuously choose the mode of goodness every second, every minute, 24 hours, until it becomes second nature. So this understanding helps understand why sometimes we feel one way and other times we feel another way. So when we choose the mode of goodness, the goodness will increase in me, but still the modes will always keep pulling and there will always be conflict. So in the purport, Prabhupada explains this point, what I described, that how do you understand the modes is by understanding the characteristics of the mode. So Prabhupada says that by manifestation of particular activity, it can be understood in what mode one is situated. So if somebody is feeling sleepy, means he is influenced by the mode of ignorance. If somebody wants to just do this, do that, I want this, I want that, he is hyperactive, means mode of passion is influencing. And somebody is calm, is thinking first, then acting. He's still acting like the mode of passion, but he's first thinking. And this is the manifestation of mode of goodness. So Srila Prabhupada connects the modes with actions. And this will get further described when we discuss chapter 17 and 18, when we'll expand our chapter 14 chart. So looking at the externals, meaning if I am feeling sleepy, this is externals, I can get a glimpse of the internal, that how the modes which are internal, which are very subtle, how they are influencing me. Or if I am very hyper, I want this, I want that, I want to go and do few things, I don't want to sit idle, then it's the mode of passion. Meaning you can see that internally it's the mode of passion. Questions, comments, realization? I think Shreyanshi, you had a hand up.
Yes, Prabhuji, sometimes people are absent-minded, or like even though they are in a mode of goodness, the other person is more maybe proactive, or their mind is more alert, so they're not able to cope up with the energy. What would you comment on that?
So you don't compare. You work according to your mode, that you want to be situated in the mode of goodness more and more. Don't worry about, I cannot keep up with the others. No, you have to first worry about yourself. Fix that you are always in the mode of goodness more and more, so that the mode of goodness qualities develop in you. Shreyanshi?
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Sumnima?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, can someone be in mode of passion and still be a good devotee? Like, for example, very passionate towards uh, doing all the services. So, is it possible in that way?
Yeah, you are
If
correct.
that turns
You are
into goodness.
Yeah, you are correct. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 29, verses 8, 9, 10, describe devotional service in the mode of ignorance, devotional service in the mode of passion, and devotional service in the mode of goodness. Upfront, right away, you'll say devotional service and ignorance. Yeah. So, unless one becomes little elevated and purer, the devotional service is influenced by the modes. So it is absolutely correct, Sumnima, that most devotees, they start according to Bhagavad Gita 7.16, that they have some material desires and they want to also do devotional service. So they are already under the modes, and they are wanting to do devotional service. And of course, Bhagavatam reference I gave you, 3.29, 8, 9, 10, pretty heavy verses to comprehend that devotional services can be in the modes of ignorance, passion, and goodness. Of course, transcendence also. Sumnima?
Yes, thank you, Prabhuji.
Prabhjot Prabhu, you had something to ask?
Thank you, Prabhuji. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I I just wanted to ask, are there more than these three modes, and can you be in more than one mode at a given moment? And
Yeah,
can you,
yeah.
can you,
So, so first,
one other thing, so sorry. And can you be like liberated from all of these three?
okay. All right. So your first question, I will park this your question whether there are more than three modes because it's a discussion coming up down the line. In terms of whether one is in more than one mode, absolutely yes. We all have all three modes. There will be a dominant mode at a particular time, but basically we all have a mixture of all three modes. And your third question, how to transcend the modes? Arjuna is going to ask this exact same question here in this chapter 14, should be verse number 20 or 21. Arjuna is going to ask this question. So let's wait till we reach for question number 1 and question number 3 of you, Prabhupada Prabhu. It's a discussion coming up. Does that help you?
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Okay, so there are a few questions in the chat. Let me address those. So Abhishek Prabhu says, is the pull here our internal thoughts and desire at the moment, like thought of sleeping in class or checking WhatsApp? I don't understand your question, Abhishek Prabhu. You'll have to clarify what exactly you are asking. So Abhishek Prabhu is disconnected right now. Okay, we'll have to ask him next time he's here. Okay, Paulami says, is it possible to attribute any specific mode to ego and any mode to material greed? So you'll discuss this in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 5, how creation happened. So ego is in the mode of ignorance. And then ego is mixed with mode of goodness and certain items from the 24 elements get manifested. Then ego mixed with passion, certain items of our body get manifested. Then ego mixed with ignorance, the 5 great elements of earth, water, fire, air, ether, they get manifested. So there's a detailed discussion in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 5, where I'll explain the step-by-step process where this is described of how ego mixed with each of the individual modes manifests the various items required for material existence. So ego on its own is in ignorance, for sure. So you can judge even without having the discussion of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 5, that our body and everything surrounding us is largely made out of ignorance. Therefore, not many people are interested in doing devotional service. In terms of mode of material greed, that is mode of passion. We discussed the characteristics of passion is greed. I want this, I want that. Follow me?
Thank you, Prabhuji, for clarifying.
Abhishek Prabhu, although he's signed out here, he has another question posted here. Is choosing modes different from choosing an activity like walking? For japa is an activity of walking we choose. So characteristics of mode of passion is activity. So based on your externals, you can judge which mode is influencing you. So if you are walking lightly while you are doing your japa, you are largely in the mode of goodness, possibly in the mode of transcendence. And simultaneously, so that you don't fall asleep and go into mode of ignorance, you could be lightly walking. That's understandable. But what's dominant? Dominant is your japa is the mode of goodness or mode of transcendence. So Abhishek Prabhu is not here. I'm hoping when he listens to recording, he will connect back. Drashti has a question. How come someone be a good devotee in the mode of ignorance? As you said, this is mentioned in Bhagavatam. So Bhagavatam 3.29.8 does not say the devotee in mode of ignorance is a good devotee. It just says they are a devotee. Is just that right now they are influenced by the mode of ignorance, and by continuing to do more and more devotional services, the influence of lower mode will be reduced. That's when they will become a good devotee. Right now, they are not a good devotee. They are a devotee. They are better than materialistic people that they are doing devotional services. But right now, they are also simultaneously influenced by mode of ignorance. Drashti?
Yes, Prabhuji, got it. Thank you.
Everybody on the same page? Pratyush Prabhus?
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. I have a small question. We have learned that each and every time we are to we are having the endeavor to be associated with Krishna. So for the maintaining the fitness, we used to have morning walk or like that. And during that time, one used to try to uh, do the japa or try to remember the verses. So what is that mood?
So, as I said, we are conditioned by all three modes. So for Abhishek Prabhu's answer applies here that your dominant activity is Krishna conscious activity. So that would be the mode of goodness or mode of transcendence. Simultaneously, you are also walking to ensure your walking is not like you are running a 100-meter race. Your walking is just a light walk so that you use the time to keep your body fit as well as you don't sleep while you are doing japa. So dominant is, what's your dominant activity is doing japa, doing Krishna Katha. And other modes are also there. There will be very rare circumstances where only one mode will be influenced. No, we are influenced by the three modes all the time. Parth Prabhu?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, now it is clear.
All right, very good. Everybody on the same page?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Pratyush here.
Mhm.
Prabhuji, my question is, in this world, we often see, like whenever we see a newspaper or whenever we go online, there are global conflicts everywhere, right? So if we just scroll on social media and find something uh, like like a human disaster or something, we might our mental health might get deteriorated from these global events. So is that an example where the mode of ignorance should be better? Like if we don't know about it, then we can preserve our mental health.
So you defeat the lower modes by placing yourself in the higher mode. So if mode of ignorance is influencing you or mode of passion is influencing you to go on to look at world events, place yourself in mode of goodness more and more. That way, you are defeating the mode of ignorance. So my spiritual master has a short clip. I will play on the screen. The short clip is titled Breaking News. Stop watching breaking news. So let me play this. So I have on screen, and I'll play this.
Here's some breaking news. Stop watching breaking news. What is it? Breaking news is news that breaks your concentration from everything that's important in your life. It also breaks your heart. There's only so much shocking information that a simple human being can take in and survive emotionally in life. It's not necessary. The ancient sage Sanatana Goswami used to say, don't take teachings from someone who's motivated by profit. If they're trying to make money on you by giving you information, it means that the information is contaminated. Don't take it in. Here's what I do. I don't listen to the 24-hour news cycle. I avoid it. I watch other things that are positive. And here's what happens. Anything I need to know comes to my attention on the street. If it rises to a high enough threshold, someone will tell me about a world event that I really need to know about. 99% of breaking news is not only unnecessary, it's very disturbing. But we needn't give up hearing altogether. There are fantastical stories in the ancient Vedic wisdom literatures, like Mahabharata. The Bhagavad Gita took place on a battlefield, one of the greatest battles of all time. And during the fight, the greatest teachings of all time, the yoga teachings, were given from Krishna to Arjuna. Similarly, the Srimad Bhagavatam gives wonderful stories from the history of the world and infuses it with spiritual knowledge. We can transfer our attention from the sensationalized to that information that's altogether interesting but transformational. This is the process of Bhakti Yoga. Try tuning out the breaking news cycle for 1 month and tune in to spiritual literature and see how your mind becomes purified, happy, and also entertained. Let me know. Write to me and tell me, what kinds of literatures are you listening to that are enriching your mind and bringing you to a higher spiritual level?
I offer my respectful obeisances to my spiritual master, His Grace Vaishya Das Adhikari. So, what did my spiritual master say? Breaking news, stop watching breaking news. And he gave the solution that you don't have to stop hearing altogether or reading altogether. You listen and read Bhagavad Gita and spirituality. Pratyush Prabhu, everybody.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you for the perspective.
Right, so you had my spiritual master's contact on the screen. He asked you, write to me. So you all can write to him directly. Many devotees from the previous batches have written to him. So write to him and tell him you're reading Bhagavad Gita. He'll be pleased. He, of course, knows about all of you. But connect with him directly. He gave you direct permission. Everybody on the same page? Sumnima has a question. Isn't walking japa one of the chanting offense? So walking japa is not a chanting offense. It is offense when you are doing other things like scrolling on your phone or making a to-do list, meaning you are not attentive. So walking on itself is not an offense. Sumnima?
Yes, Prabhuji.
So of course the ideal is that I should sit in a meditational pose and simply meditate, but I am not there yet. I am still trying to take baby steps and I need help. If I don't take help by light walking, I will sleep. Well, then it defeats the purpose of trying to do japa. Sumnima?
Prabhuji, in the offense class, it did mention something like this, so I just remember something.
Walking we never discussed as an offense. Inattentive, yes. Yeah, inattentive chanting is an offense, but walking lightly, that is not an offense. So say if you are walking on the street while you are doing japa and you are reading billboards and talking to others and hey, how are you, while you are doing Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, hey, how are you, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, but that becomes an offense, right? Because you are not attentive, you are doing other things in the between. But if you
Okay,
are simply walking lightly, say within the temple environment or within your home environment or within your backyard, that's okay, because I'm not yet at an advanced level where I will sit and meditate. All right. Follow me. Is it you or somebody had?
Yes, Prabhuji. One question, just one, is that let's say we go to a new place and there is someone unknown, incognito, a thief dressed as a good person, or maybe online there is a hacker, and we are prone to giving, service giving. If we act without thinking, then it's the mode of passion. We have done something, right? How will a person in mode of goodness and mode of transcendence act in such a circumstance, online and in person? How to say that no? It's very difficult.
So while somebody is in the material world, the mode of goodness and mode of transcendence would be somewhat overlapping. So they will say, I'm not interested in your sale tactic right now, because right now I am focused on my spiritual endeavor. So that is one way. I mean, it will depend on time, place, and circumstances, but you will use some excuse to get out of that situation. Follow me?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you.
All right. So verses 6, 7, and 8 provided how the modes bind. Verse number 10 talked about the competition among the various modes 24 hours. Now verse number 11, 12, and 13, Krishna will describe what happens when particular mode wins the competition over the other modes. Meaning, if there is a fight between the three modes going on and mode of ignorance wins, what happens then? Or if mode of passion wins, what happens then? Or if mode of goodness wins, then what happens? So in these three verses, he will describe. So we'll first discuss these three verses and then we'll populate the chart and we'll go from there. Nishan Prabhu, verse number 11, translation.
Krishna Prabhuji, am I audible?
Yeah, go ahead, Hare Krishna.
Verse 11. The manifestation of the mode of goodness can be experienced when all the gates of the body are illuminated by knowledge.
So all the doors or all the gates of the body are illuminated. We have discussed in chapter 5 that our body has 9 gates. 2 eyes, 2 nostrils, 2 ears, 1 mouth, 1 anus, 1 genital. So I'm describing 5.13 Bhagavad Gita, the 9 doors or the 9 gates of our body. Understand this with an example, that how illumination of these senses help us. So if I am in a dark place, I cannot come out of that room if there is no light because I cannot see clearly. Say I am walking somewhere and I don't know, I may be falling down the stairs or I may fall in a hole somewhere. By mode of goodness, one's pathways are illuminated by knowledge. Therefore, one understands what to do and what not to do. From Bhagavad Gita chapter 2 discussion, anybody remembers how do we go into a storm? Anybody remembers? We discussed an analogy also, boat in a storm. Anybody remembers? Very far away. Oh, that was like a year ago. Chapter 2.
Yes,
All of you?
Prabhu. Yes, Prabhuji. That when there is a storm, you know the weather forecast, then you prepare accordingly. And if you go, let's say there's a boat in the storm, then you can't control. It's okay at that point. But after the storm ends, it's the duty of the boatman to come back to the track again.
Okay, very good. So you are on the right track. My question is, how do you get into the storm? Meaning, how do you get into the bad activity in the material world? The answer is, so I discussed this in 2.67, that we go into the storm through our senses. Senses are the doors through which our consciousness travels. Whichever way the consciousness goes, that choice brings consequences. So when one is able to perceive the consequences, means there is illumination, there is knowledge. Therefore, illumination is important. Without illumination, there is confusion. So when senses are illuminated, means person is knowledgeable what should be done and what should not be done, how to act, how not to act. Therefore, when there is jnana, when there is knowledge, means this is the manifestation of mode of goodness. Everybody on the same page? All right. Padma Kumar Prabhu, verse number 12 translation.
O chief of the Bharatas, when there is an increase in the mode of passion, the symptoms of great attachment, activity, intense endeavor, and uncontrolled desire and hankering develop. Hare Krishna.
So this is the characteristics of the mode of passion. Is very easy to see either in yourself or everybody around you in the material world, whether at home or at work or wherever you travel. So when mode of passion increases, the characteristics are lobha, greed. Its pravati means action according to one's inclination, means one likes to endeavor more and more. So greed is very prominent characteristics of mode of passion. In passion, one wants more of everything. That I have a car, but I want a bigger and a better car and another car. I have a bungalow. I want another bungalow. It's never ending. So at different times, different modes become prominent. When passion becomes prominent, then greed or insatiable desires, they manifest. Shreyachi has a question.
But Prabhuji, we are told that if we don't dream big, then we are not ambitious enough.
Yeah, so that somebody telling you that he's in the mode of ignorance, right? Somebody giving you guidance without scriptural knowledge. What good is that guidance or that statement? So if you want to talk about ambition, talk about Srila Prabhupada. I can forward you a message of how much Srila Prabhupada attained or what all he has done for us. The amount of scripture Srila Prabhupada has translated after he is already at the age of 70, when most people like to sit on a rocking chair just waiting to die. The amount of scripture Srila Prabhupada has translated for us, it's not possible for all of us to even finish reading in one lifetime. If you add all of Prabhupada's scriptures, all his lectures, all Prabhupada has developed, all the processes, all Prabhupada 108 ISKCON dhams all over the world. Just the scriptures. It is not possible for us to finish reading all of Prabhupada's scriptures in one lifetime. Prabhupada will explain this in 17.15, that there is limitless stock of Vedic literature. Spend time on Vedic literature. Why do you have to worry about what materialistic people are telling you? Shreyanshi?
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Sumnima has a question in the chat. What is the first immediate thing we can do when we realize we are in the mode of passion? So all this discussion is coming up. So recognizing is step number 1, and then you defeat the mode by placing yourself in the higher mode. All that discussion is coming up. I only answered in one line. Sumnima, does that help you and you can hold on?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Prabjot Prabhu?
It's okay. Thank you. Sorry, Prabhuji. Sorry.
Right. Okay. Parth Prabhu, verse number 13 translation.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, verse 13. When there is an increase in the mode of ignorance, O son of Kuru, darkness, inertia, madness, and illusion are manifested.
So darkness, inactivity, madness, illusion are the characteristics of ignorance. So this is exact opposite. If you go to 14.11, which is for goodness, the word in Sanskrit word is prakash, means illumination. And in 14.13 is aprakash, is exact opposite. Therefore, on the chart, I got you to populate that ignorance is exact opposite of goodness. And similarly, if you compare 14.12, for passion, 14.12 says pravarti, means activity. And in 14.13 for ignorance is apravarti, means no activity. So all the opposites of goodness and passion, meaning prakash and pravarti, the opposite are in ignorance, meaning aprakash and pravarti. So in ignorance, there is neither illumination of the goodness, nor there is activity of passion. There is simply illusion, madness, and inactivity. Now understand that here sleep is not mentioned as one of the characteristics of ignorance, because here in this verse number 13 is talking about the aggravated ignorance. Verse number 13 is not talking about the basic necessary bodily function of sleep, which was there in the previous ignorance verse. Here in verse number 13, the focus is on the unnecessary and undesirable aggravation of the mode of ignorance. When one of the modes become dominant, the person acts according to that mode. So Krishna has given the characteristics. So the action item from this point on, from our today's discussion, is that you start observing your own modes, because it is very, very, very important to understand which mode is influencing you so that you can defeat the lower modes. If you don't even know that lower mode is influencing you, then how are you going to defeat? You are just going to act according to the default setting. So in goodness, the activity will be relatively better and desirable, although goodness is still going to cause bondage. In passion, there is a lot of greed, there is male-female attraction. And in ignorance, there is madness and illusion. All right, let's populate the chart now. So now you have this next column, title B. Title is Characteristics and Manifestation. So these are verses 11, 12, and 13. So the column for goodness and characteristics you are populating comes from verse number 11. Illuminates 9 gates of body with knowledge. Frees one from sinful reactions. Next column is characteristics and passion. Comes from verse number 12. Intense, unlimited desires. Great attachment. Fruitive activities. Next column is characteristics and ignorance. Comes from verse number 13. Illusion, darkness, and madness. All right, we'll continue reading. Anybody having this feeling that I do not understand the modes, which I said at the start is going to happen? Anybody? Yes, no? Silence, I got silence. Thank you, Ria. All right, so right now we are discussing philosophy. Even if something is not clear, not to worry. We'll soon discuss practical aspects, a lot of practical aspects on this. So now we will continue from verse number 14. So different people live according to the characteristics and influence of different modes. So in we discussed in verse number 6, 7, 8, the binding characteristics. Then verse 11, 12, 13 was the characteristics and manifestation of each of these modes. So Krishna will describe what happens when a person dies in a particular characteristics of the mode. So now section 2 is verses 14 to 18. Title is the effect of conditioning by the modes. So verse number 14 and 15 are long-term effect, meaning post-death destination. Verse number 16 is immediate term effect. Verse 17 is immediate effect. And verse 18 is direction of post-death journey. Pratyush Prabhu, 14 translation.
When one dies in the mode of goodness, he attains to the pure higher planets of the great sages.
So when goodness is developed and a person dies while he is in goodness, he will attain spotless higher planets of those who are knowledgeable, meaning those who live in knowledge in this life, they gain further knowledge in next life. They attain higher planets of those who are knowledgeable. Important to understand that this does not talk about liberation, just refers to higher planets, because goodness also binds one to the material world. If we live in goodness, we attain destination which are also in goodness, still in the material world. Now, relatively speaking, yes, heaven is in goodness. Now, within goodness also, there will be levels that you will have goodness, then goodness passion, then goodness ignorance, and goodness more toward transcendence. So there will be gradations within each of these modes as well. So those in heaven are not necessarily considered higher beings, because those in heaven are also caught in the pursuit of sense gratification. So living in goodness, yes, it can take you to heaven. Of course, you need a lot of pious activity for that. Goodness can also take you higher than heaven also, depending on the level of goodness one has cultivated. So I have shown you visuals for the 14 planetary systems that heaven is there above Earth, but then there are planets above heaven also. Everybody with me? Questions, comments, realizations? Follow me. Verse number 15 translation.
Yes, Prabhuji. Verse 15 translation. When one dies in the mode of passion, he takes birth among those engaged in fruitive activities, and when one dies in the mode of ignorance, he takes birth in the animal kingdom. Hare Krishna.
Right, so Krishna describes what happens when one dies while he is in the mode of passion or ignorance. So if one dies in passion, then one is reborn in association of those who are materialistic people, those who are attached to fruitive work. Generally, earthly planets. Those who are in passion, they attain earthly planets. And if one dies in ignorance, then one is reborn in animal species or on lower planets, lower than Earth. let's populate the chart again. So now we are on third column. C, title is Destination at Death. Now this is long term. Comes from verse number 14 and 15. So the box for goodness and destination at death comes from verse 14. Attains pure higher planets of sages. Next box is passion and destination and death. Comes from verse number 15. Attains earthly planets. And the box for ignorance and destination and death comes from verse number 15. Birth in lower species and lower planets. All right, we'll continue reading. Priya Darshini, verse number 16, translation.
Hare Krishna. Text 16. The result of pious action is pure and is said to be in the mode of goodness. But action done in the mode of passion results in misery, and action performed in the mode of ignorance results in foolishness. Hare Krishna.
So both based on actions in this life, result upon death in goodness, passion, or ignorance. One can go either higher or lower planets, as well
Prabhuji,
as
I'm so sorry.
higher.
I'm trying to hear you, but if I miss something for any questions in coming up, I apologize. Hare Krishna.
All right. So I'll repeat, there was a fire alarm in the background. So based on actions in this life, result upon death in goodness, passion, and ignorance, one can go either higher planets or lower planets, or higher or lower species, or earthly planets. So effects are there even in this life, that one who lives in goodness attains auspicious destination and lives a little peaceful life. One who lives in ignorance, example, one who drinks, the person loses the capacity for clear thinking. The result of mode of ignorance is that one goes into deeper ignorance. It's a vicious cycle. Plus, there is no spiritual advancement. So this is significant. If one lives in passion, the result is misery. One lives in passion, one does not make much of spiritual advancement. So earlier we discussed that in the mode of passion, there is male and female attraction. The result of such male-female attraction leads to misery because it increases the bodily concept of life in both the male and female. When bodily concept increases, that leads to bondage and suffering. And we also discussed in mode of passion, no matter what one has, one is never satisfied. One wants more and more and more and more. Every 2 months, they need a new iPhone. Arey Baba, the phone is to make a phone call. The phone companies are making profit that every new model, they only make one small change and they keep increasing their sales. Why? Because people are in the mode of passion. Because in the mode of passion, one thinks that there is some pleasure in the material world. Example, pleasure in a new car or a new cell phone or whatever new you are attracted to. When I get those new things, I will be happy. But even after I get those new things, nothing happens. The happiness fades away. For this verse, I request you to read the purport later on. There are important points described because mode of passion is largely prevalent all around us in the material world, and Prabhupada has described this at great length in the purport. Raksha 17 translation. So verse number 17 describes the immediate effect.
Text 17. From the mode of goodness, real knowledge develops. From the mode of passion, greed develops. And from the mode of ignorance develops foolishness, madness, and illusion. Hare Krishna.
So it is significant that Krishna does not say that merely by study that knowledge, one gets knowledge. So studying a lot of books, memorizing is just one aspect of learning, but not the only thing in learning. Learning spiritual knowledge is a matter of realignment of our view. Learning spiritual knowledge is harmonization of our thinking with the higher reality and living according to what the higher reality wants us to live, not wanting to enjoy. Therefore, Krishna says, from Satatva Guna, meaning from mode of goodness, jnana comes. Knowledge comes from mode of goodness. If we want knowledge, we have to live in the mode of goodness. From mode of passion comes greed. We can see for ourselves that when we are agitated or disturbed at that time, if we say go to a temple, we try to sincerely pray to Krishna, maybe read some verses, that calms us down. So in mode of goodness, people get illuminated. When we are in passion and we put ourselves in goodness, suddenly things become clearer. Oh, I never thought of that. So Sumnima asked a few minutes ago this question that what do we do when we are in passion? Krishna answered right here that breathe big breaths, calm down yourself, place yourself in goodness, and all of a sudden things will become clearer because goodness is going to illuminate you. In passion, there is greed. One is never satisfied with what one has. He is always agitated. The modes shape our thinking. In passion, we will always be seeing what we don't have. So Chaitanya Chandas gives an example for passion that people who are workaholics, they work, run. I had a manager one time. he would go down to a cafeteria to buy his lunch. So he will go running, and when he grabs his lunch, he will come back running to his desk to see how many emails he got. And after he's bringing his lunch is sitting, and for half an hour he is typing emails. He is a complete workaholic. So mode of passion is influencing. Now these people, when they say, oh, there's too much work, I need to get away from work, they go to a beach far away, on a resort someplace. They are still agitated from not getting any emails because the mode of passion continues to act. So what we have to do is to come out of the modes by placing ourselves in the higher modes. And in mode of ignorance is characterized by madness and illusion, and the result is foolishness. So all these are short-term consequences, meaning as soon as we come into mode of passion, result is agitation, dissatisfaction, hankering, greed, more and more and more. I want this, I want that. Prabjot Prabhu, you had something to ask?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Sorry, I just wanted to say I can hear you now. So sorry. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. All right, thank you. Everybody on the same page? Mansi, Monarch?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Prabhu, my question is how madness is a binding force, at the same time it's a characteristic, and at the same time it's a result of ignorance.
Yeah, we'll discuss practical aspects on this. That yes, it's a binding force, that that one is acting out of foolishness, right? So it binds you because you are taking actions which are foolish. Characteristics, of course, it's a characteristics that's a characteristics, and its foolishness is also the result. We discussed that ignorance comes from ignorance, means basic ignorance was that a person thinks, oh, I will drink and I'll be happy, and then he acts in ignorance and he becomes a drunkard. So that's becoming a drunkard is also foolishness, is also the result. So ignorance comes from ignorance. Prabhu.
Got it, Prabhu. Thank you.
Very good. Ria, verse number 18, translation.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Verse 18. Those situated in the mode of goodness gradually go upward to the higher planets. Those in the mode of passion live on the earthly planets, and those in the abominable mode of ignorance go down to the hellish worlds. Hare Krishna.
So in this 14.18 verse, there's a general description of what happens when those in goodness, they will go upwards, meaning higher planetary systems. Those in passion will stay where they are, meaning stay on earthly planets, middle planets. And Krishna does not even call the mode of ignorance as mode of ignorance. Rather, Krishna calls ignorance as abominable. So if one is situated in abominable mode, then they will go down to lower planetary systems and lower species. So one can go down to lower species, to lower planets, also from human form of life. So this up and down, understand that up can refer to more elevated consciousness. Up can refer to higher planets. And similarly, down can refer to lower planets, lower species also. So there are different destinations possible when a person lives in different modes in current life. In the purport, Prabhupada describes the result of developing ignorance is very risky. To live in ignorance is very, very risky because you do not know when you will again get a human form of life. When we will have the opportunity to liberate ourselves from the cycle of birth and death, and when we will have the opportunity to do devotional service. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada says to live in ignorance is very, very risky. Let's populate the last column on the chart. So last column title is Result of Action. And we are populating the box for goodness and result of action. So comes from 16 to 18. All the three boxes comes from 16 to 18. So box for goodness and result of action from 16 to 18. First is pure, knowledgeable, sees things as they are, elevation to higher planets. Next box of passion and result of action again comes from 16 to 18. Misery, greed, earthly planets. And the last box that you have for ignorance and result of action came from 16 to 18. Foolishness, madness, illusion, life in hellish worlds. So you can see the chart that all of goodness characteristics or points are there in one straight row, and all of passion in one row and all of ignorance. So you can look at it instead of going through scattered verses and trying to find. So our goal is that we try to be in the mode of goodness more and more and more, so that goodness keeps developing more and more in us. So from this point on, we will discuss practical aspects. So far, we have only discussed the philosophy. Now today, if I start discussing, I'm not going to finish. So I will only briefly explain that the practical aspects of Board's chapter is inclination. That what is my inclination, and an action item for you all from this point on is to observe yourself 24 hours, that which mode is influencing you. And once you notice the mode, you have two choices. Either you cave into the mode, means you surrender to the mode, or you defeat the mode. So for example, if you are feeling sleepy while you are listening to Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam class, so you either surrender to the lower mode, means you go to sleep, or your other action is to defeat the lower mode by placing yourself in the higher mode of either passion or goodness. Generally, passion is also easier, that you just stand up or you take a light walk to defeat the mode of ignorance. We can use the last 4 or 5 minutes for any questions, comments, realizations.
Prabhuji, I realized that mode it's a big role in our, everything is under mode of.
Yeah, you are absolutely correct. Very good realization that modes play a significant role and we cannot see the modes. Therefore, start identifying the modes by the dominant characteristics. The dominant characteristics of mode of goodness is thinking first and then acting. The dominant characteristics of mode of passion is immediately acting without a lot of thinking. Therefore, people then regret, oh, why did I do that? And mode of ignorance is neither thinking nor acting. We'll discuss a lot of practical points on. Thank you, Malti. Very good realization. Rest of you? Matan Prabhu.
So devotees are above all these modes, or they are on mode of goodness?
Pure devotees are above the modes, not all devotees, right? So devotees would have mixed bhakti, Mishra bhakti, right? You have to judge for yourself. Are you a pure devotee or are you a mixed devotee? Matan Prabhu.
Yeah, I'm a mixed devotee.
Right, very good.
So,
Matan Prabhu.
So all three modes are not good.
We'll come to that point.
Prabhuji,
Yeah,
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, the third column and second row, last column, that is result of action, 16 to 18, under passion. Can you please repeat that portion?
So passion, result of action, 16 to 18, is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's misery.
Misery,
greed,
and
earthly planets.
Earthly planet. Okay. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Rest of you? So there are few of you who are listening to class recordings to get caught up. So Shruti and Shreyanshi are diligently listening. They want to share their experience, that how it is and why it is important to listen to past class recordings. Shruti?
Hey, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So, I'm trying to catch up all the previous classes. Like I started from the end of October. Why is it important? Although whatever is currently we're going through is not that we need to know everything before chapters, but it is still important because for my personal point of view, understanding from the beginning helps to understand in a whole, like and also it is important to, there are some of the things which I like because of the spiritual endeavors we used to have, like in the beginning of the classes, helps us to stick to the classes and also reading the book. It's now the spiritual endeavors are less comparatively, but having the spiritual endeavors since the beginning has helped, at least for me, it has helped to be diligent and keep on track and dedicate time to read the book and also to understand, and even for the current classes also, if there is something which I did not understand, I can always ask for the recordings. So recordings are very helpful in my point of view, and also helps to keep us in a dedicated line.
Yeah, very good point. That all those points are important. Shruti mentioned all the important points. That previous classes there's a lot of base information. There's a lot of important spiritual endeavors and keeps you disciplined. Very good. Thank you for sharing, Shruti. Shreyanshi, you want to share?
Likewise, I mean, it's all about the foundational knowledge. So if we have good foundations and if we have covered all the previous chapters, then we can connect with what is being said next. And because I ask a lot of doubts and I realize they all are covered in previous chapters. So I'm trying to catch up as much as possible and actively do the homework so that if I have any question, I can ask Prabhuji immediately, or like he can explain me in detail alongside with uh, um, attending these classes as well. So yeah, there's a lot of connection. I think if we understand the previous one, then the next chapters will be easy to correlate, like why it is happening, and so yeah.
Okay, very good. Thank you. So those of you there are a couple others of you who are also in the process of getting caught up. You put an endeavor to get caught up. You don't have to listen to the whole 2-hour recording one stretch. If you cannot, listen in 20-30 minute small chunks and get caught up. There's significant volume of important information in those past recordings. Last question for today is posted in the chat. Priyadarshini says, modes we can notice in everyone, meaning own self and others, but when coming to correction part, we have to apply only to us. Is that correct? Absolutely correct. Thank you for pointing this out. That yes, you can see the modes in others also, but don't go and tell them, hey, Prabhu, you are in mode of ignorance. Never do that. This philosophy first apply on yourself. Yes, you can see the modes in others based on the characteristics of the dominant characteristics. You can judge that yes, so and so mode is influencing so and so devotee, so and so person, but don't go and start telling others that you are in ignorance or passion or blah blah blah. Thank you. All right, we are just past 10:30 p.m. Toronto time. We'll stop here. Hare Krishna, everybody. So read all the purports and listen to Prabhupada lecture that I will post in the group. Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.